Hello, my friends. Great to be here amongst you. When I was asked by Business World Group and Anurag to come and speak on 20 years that have gone by and what is going to come, how the most important thing that really mattered to me was experiential marketing that all of you are so good at. But I'm just presenting something that has happened in the last 20 years, 25 years, maybe 40, and how things have really changed and what's in store for us. But I'll take you through a series of photographs which will actually give the journey more meaning, because we are talking about experience and experiential marketing. Let me start by saying that what is an experience marketing? I keep telling my team at Seher that you present Shan on stage, you present Shankar Mahadevan on stage, you present all sorts of artists, one opera singer, you present the BBC Scottish Symphony Orchestra in Delhi, in Chennai. What is different between Shankar Mahadevan and Shan singing in Mumbai, at IIT Powai, and at your festival? The only thing that is different is your complete holistic experience that you can give, not only to the artists, but to the audience, not just to the audience, but even to your stakeholders, your sponsors, the city that you are in, whichever city you may be. We've done events in Goa, we've done events in London, we do events in Rome. What are we giving back to the audience? There must be something iconic about the city. So these are the holistic experience that you can bring through your creation, that is your events. That is what is going to stay back with the artists, with the audience, with the stakeholders, with your sponsors, and with the people who come even for half an hour to your events. Let me just start my journey way back in 1980. I'm just telling you different. So there is something, ladies and gentlemen, my friends, something related, and that's what I wanted to take you through my journey. Through cinema in the 1980s, I was taking the audience for a different experience. Through films like Akrosh, through films like Ardha Satya, through films like Masoom, which I shot in Delhi with Shekhar Kapoor as the director. We made the film in 1982 in Delhi. We shot at Purana Killa, we shot at a house in Panchsheel, we shot at my father-in-law's house at Aurangzeb Road, and we made a film in just about 35 lakhs. I was the financier. I had to have the choice in selecting a director and then there was a line producer, that's Guru Dutt's brother, Devidutt, who was the line producer of the film. And I used to keep territories, and whether it was a Delhi UP or it's Mumbai, whether it was Hyderabad or Punjab, but I used to keep some territories and sell the rest, and the film I used to release. But what was I doing with these films? Jaane bhi to yaron. What was I doing with these films? There was the time of Amitabh Bachchan and the angry young man. And we were actually giving the audience a softer, angry young man. There was Akrosh, there was Ardha Satya, you could see a policeman. Jaane bhi to yaron was a completely different experience with Kundan Shah as the director. It's an iconic film. After that, I'll just tell you that I met the Chief Minister of Delhi at one of my events, which you'll see later. It was Javed Akhtar's book launch that I organized in 2001. in Moria. And I told Javed, I said, though it was the beginning of book launches, today the book launches are many, there are hundreds of book launches. I told Javed, why don't we call Amitabh Bachchan to read the English version of your poetry book called Tarkash. I said, we're launching Quiver, the English version of the book. You read the Urdu version and let him read the English version. And we had 1.5 hours of poetry reading by Javed Akhtar and Amitabh Bachchan. Now that was my job even in 2001, and it is still today, conceptualizing interesting events which creates a new experience for the audience. And I tell you, there were 600 seats that we had kept at ITC Moria, Kamal Mahal. There were 1,000 people. And everybody wanted to hear Amitabh Bachchan recite poetry. And I remember coming down from the lift after picking up Amitabh Saab, and he said, I wish I had known I would have also worn a kurta pajama and a jacket. I'm sorry to be wearing a tie. And the man sat with me and my team for 2 hours doing the sound check. That's Amitabh Bachchan, great actor, great human being. I met Sheila Dikshit in that book launch of Javed. And she gave me her, not a card, but she said, why don't you come for breakfast to my house on Saturday? I said, fine. And then she said, what an audience, what an experience you had created in that, 2 hours of book launch. And she asked me if I could join her as a cultural advisor to Delhi government and to her. The only thing I told her was, ma'am, I don't want to become a government servant. I don't want to become a civil servant. Otherwise, मैं सिर्फ green pages ही बनाता चला जाऊंगा, मेरी creativity खत्म हो जाएगी. So she understood. She said, okay, just become the cultural advisor and tell me how we can actually do everything. So the only thing I asked was, give me the monuments, free access to heritage monuments and parks of Delhi. And I'll tell you what to do with the rest. And I said, give me one organization which I can actually work with. I don't want to work with the entire bureaucracy. And we worked with Delhi Tourism and Transport Development Corporation, and I worked directly with the chairman. The first festival that we did was Ananya, the Purana Killa Dance Festival at Purana Killa. That was in 2002. For a classical dance festival where not even 600 people, Kamani has 460 seats, totally, up and down. In classical dance festivals, we couldn't even get 400 people. There was never a full hall in 2001. What did I do? We lit the monument very well. I got the best designer in heritage monuments who can light the monument. And then I took group choreography rather than, boring solo choreography. And I don't want to say boring, but please understand, when we are trying to actually put 1,500 seats, and we are trying to call all the ambassadors and high commissioners and the top people, you'd like at least 1,500 people in the audience. Of course, later it rose to 2,500. And the people used to come in a battery bus from the car park to the main, the Gol Chakkar of Purana Killa. And then the battery buses used to leave them and they used to walk. Look at the kind of people where Delhi could not muster 400 people, lovers of and appreciators of classical dance. We had calls from the Chinese embassy, and they said, our defense minister from China is coming. We'd like 25 seats to be reserved for the Chinese embassy. So I said, why 25 seats? They said because after that we are having a dinner at the Oberoi, and we made the program in such a way that the Minister of Defense from China could see a bit of classical dance and then go for dinner, where the Foreign Affairs Minister of India was attending. So such was the halo of this festival in 3 years. But one thing, my dear friends, I told my team that we start at 7 sharp and we finish the performance at 8 o'clock sharp. Whether the Chief Minister of Delhi was there or not there, it didn't matter. But the people who used to come, and हिंदी में एक शब्द है मलो सीट्स, वो मलो लोग मलते थे 6 बजे आके, क्योंकि पुराना किला में अच्छी लाइटिंग थी, अक्टूबर का महीना था, and the best of Tanpura used to be played when people were sitting and waiting for the dance festival to begin. But every day I had one classical dance form shown to Delhiites and to the world, and it used to finish at 7:50, including announcements. At 8:15, I ensured that not a person was around at 8:15. They used to leave. So such is the kind of strictness that you've got to do when you do experiential events. Now you see, when I took my light designer to the top minaret, 2 people got snake bites because वो खुला ही नहीं था दरवाजा सालों से. पता नहीं, हो सकता है लास्ट टाइम शाहजहां ने तो नहीं, बट हो सकता है अंग्रेजों ने खोला हो. And it was full of lizards, it was full of snakes, it was full of anything wild that you can think of. I told the ASI, we should be ashamed of ourselves. But I got it lit, and the lighting was done innovatively from within the minarets. Now I'm telling you that after making a success of the first dance festival, and we beat Konark, we beat Khajuraho by the number of people and by the halo of it. So much so that NHK, whether it was German television, whether it was BBC, whether it was CNN from Atlanta, everybody has covered my festival, Ananya. I told again the Delhi government, and Rajiv Talwar at that time was the chairman, I said, give me Nehru Park. Actually, I wanted Lodi Gardens for experiential events. He said, we can't because there's a writ petition. And he gave me Nehru Park. It was 2002. And look, we converted this tree into Bhakti tree. Now you see these lifafas on, about 3,000-4,000 people used to sit because there were screens everywhere. You see these lifafas on the extreme down below. When people are sitting on a gadda, I didn't want bhakti to be actually done through music where people are sitting with shoes. Because you've got to be very sensitive when you're doing creative marketing and experiential marketing. One Sikh gentleman would rise and say, Gurbani aapne kaise kar di yahan par, without the head being covered. So these lifafas used to be given by my volunteers so that people could keep their shoes, so that their socks didn't smell, the toe jam. Look at this was the Bhakti tree, and I went to my scenographer and I told him, make it into a Bhakti tree. Sadgi was Sadgi, simpleness. And this is simpledom was the main important thing. Genda, because it was marigold and sunflower, all these were elements. We use the tree, but ये क्यों है? Sorry to say, सादगी के लिए. जिस तरह अनफॉर्चुनेटली विधवाओं को ऑफ वाइट पहनाया जाता है, वाइट पहनाया जाता है, मैंने कहा इस पेड़ को आप वाइट पहनाओ sadgi lao. Even though today I don't believe. But look at the events. Over here, my friends, I had to give a taste. I was not going into Vistar and Bhakti Utsav. So I was not doing 1 hour of boring, long music, even though I have learned music myself. But I didn't want the first time appreciators of Bhakti music. I wanted 10,000 people. Because I remember when I went for my first sponsorship to Pepsi, I've had a meeting with the chairman, and he was a senior Stephens friend of mine. And he said, Sanjeev, how many people do you get? I said, 2,000. He said, Pepsi is only interested if you're going to be having 10,000 people. And I didn't know how to get 10,000 people in my classical events. But with Bhakti, we got 10,000 people. Bhagidari. Now again, it was my thing by that time to government of Delhi that अच्छा काम आप कर रहे हो भाई, लोगों को पता तो होना चाहिए. क्या पता है लोगों को कि भागीदारी हो रही है? भागीदारी हो रही है म्यूजिक से. आप शांति फैला रहे हो. Whether you are a Sikh, whether you are a Tamilian, whether you are a Keralite, whether you are a Bengali, you were all there. People from Chittu Park, people from R.K.Puram, people from West Delhi, they were all here at Nehru Park. And look at this wheelchair. It was friendly, wheelchair friendly, and special ability people. Because I knew one day in my festivals, 75-year-old people would come. How will we get them? So I had 10 volunteers actually go and stand at the car park and bring people with their grandparents, and the young people also used to come. When India was celebrating 400 years of Guru Granth Sahib, I created the first Gurbani festival at Talkatora Gardens. Now, this is Divakar, a young, today he's the talent. I mean, he's talent hunt, big. He's a blind boy, or rather, the fact is, I told his father, if he sings so well, why doesn't he sing Gurbani? And he was here. I had 5,000 people, almost. I mean, these are the figures police has used to give us. Look at the set. ये जो आप छतरी देख रहे हैं, छतरी, ये आपको पता लगेगा अगर आप कभी गुरुद्वारे में गए हो. This was so important. United Nations was celebrating 60 years, and they appointed us as the agency that looked after all United Nations events thereafter. And I got Hari Prasad Chaurasia and Shiv Kumar Sharma. I said, what can be different यार? आप लोग सब जगह साथ बजाते हो, क्या करोगे मेरे लिए? They had no idea. How are we going to celebrate 60 years of United Nations in the world? What's so different? जो न्यूयॉर्क में नहीं हो रहा, जनीवा में नहीं हो रहा, इंडिया क्या कर रहा है? मैंने कहा एक स्पेशल राग बनाएगा. It was called the Shanti Rag. And 1 month I gave to these two great musicians. And you can see Panditji, his feet were swollen that day, but he said, okay, मैं नीचे ऐसे करके बैठ जाऊंगा. This was the invocation. I always had Manipur on my mind. This was another event where United Nations from Bangkok and Geneva appointed, obviously we were their official agency. They called their event Make a Noise. So I wrote to United Nations, and I remember Shashi Tharoor over there at that time, and I told them, "Bhai, make a noise is negative. How the hell do you make a noise except to make yourself a nuisance?" He said, sorry, up to it's been advertised in the world that it's called Make a Noise by United Nations. So I made a noise in India with 100 percussionists from all over India. Shabana was, of course, my friend from Masoom old days, but that's Arjun Singh, the Minister for Human Resources. All the top people were there. The Vice President was there, and you can see Shabana, of course. So this is how we used to put whatever our sponsors, our clients, this is what we always do. We give subtle messages, but main event, we do not let the sponsors or the government meddle with it. So I said, as long as your messages are kept, please do not get into my creative aspect of it. By that time, we had gone global, though I was cultural advisor to both India, Ministry of External Affairs, and Delhi government. The Italians said, we want to do opera. So Teatro Regio di Parma, which was one of the largest, that's where the Parma ham and the cheese comes from. It is also very famous for operas. And the director with a team of 6 people came, and they went to City Fort, and I said, this is not a great auditorium. I'm sorry if I'm hurting anybody in the Directorate of Film Festivals. It's run by, I don't like doing events in City Fort. The last event I did was BBC Scottish Symphony Orchestra. I took Italian opera to Purana Killa, and I said, why not actually take it to Purana Killa? The people from Italy kept telling the ambassador of Italy, Armelini, he's the ambassador, and they kept telling him, you've chosen a wrong agency. They are asking us to do opera with 80 musicians outside. I said, let it happen. It'll be the best opera heard in the world. And I tell you, my team, my sound engineers, India is really very, very good with our technicians. And at that time, we were given an award, and I was given an award not just because of this. I've done after that some big events in Via Borghese in Rome of Indian culture, and then the President of Italy gave me the knighthood of Cavalier. So this is the event I was talking about, where I was having Seher and ITC hotels. This is Javed, that's Amitabh, that's Amartya Sen, and this is slightly older, but this is where I met Sheila ji and government of Delhi. You can see me without a beard, but by that time we had gone global. 2005, I said, let's give experience of Indian culture abroad. Why just in India? ICCR may be doing a very good job. I'm with due regards to my colleagues, my friends in the Ministry of External Affairs. But this is the House of Lords. This is elect them in the House of Lords. We took Indian culture to various cities after I had got 40 people from India, including some rock bands, including Dandiya, Garba, something that no Ministry of Culture, no Government of India organization was doing. We attempted to create a parallel organization. That's the minister, that's Secretary of Culture at that time, dancing. And it became a very big, well, I wish social media was there at that time, but it became a very big thing. 25,000 people came to our Trafalgar Square Festival in one day. Again, those were the police that... This is the Regent Street Festival. After 2 years, I was called by the Mayor of London, and then Boris Johnson later. And I worked with Boris, and he's, whatever kind of politician he is, he's a great friend. But I stopped Regent Street traffic from Oxford Circus and from Piccadilly Circus. And we did Bollywood, we did Indian cuisine, we did everything that was truly Indian, craft bazaar. And Do you want to take a guess of how many people we touched that night? That from 11 o'clock in the morning till 10 at night? 500,000 people walked Regent Street that day. Not my figures, figures of London police. There was India all over. Nobody. I mean, this was before when India was celebrating 14th. Is it for me to stop? I can. When India was celebrating the 14th SAARC summit in India, by mistake, I think the Foreign Secretary then, Shiv Shankar Menon, called me to a meeting. And he said, Sanjeev, how can we organize the summit? So I said, please ask Pavan Verma, he is the DG ICCR. I don't want to trouble my old Stephens senior, because the government always feels a little insecure, if I may say, if private people come in and show them the way. So I took SAARC Band's festival to Connaught Place, Rajiv Chowk. Now you can see, I got ICCR because I said, my बाप आप हमारे साथ हो, बट क्रिएटिव में मुझे छोड़ देना, आप सिर्फ बैठो आओ. और मंत्री थे प्रणब मुखर्जी, ग्रेट मैन टू वर्क विद. Shankar still works with me, and I feel very proud when he says my best events are done in Delhi or wherever Seher does our events. This is Pranab Mukherjee. We miss him. As you can see, he came for the Connaught Place festival, and the Foreign Secretary today, Vikram Misri, was his director, and Vikram called me up on my phone and he said, Sanjeev, why have you called the minister? And because he doesn't understand this kind of music, and you could take the Minister of State. I said, look, let him come only to inaugurate and let him go. He was not supposed to sit. You know how much I had Advaita sing on the first after inauguration, and Pranab Mukherjee sat for 1 hour postponing all meetings at South Block. We gave rise to many, Qutub Minar, Bikaner House, again 2016, Vasundhara, Raje. These are all anecdotes. I'm not really. Different chief ministers, they used to call me up and say, do something. And I missed Manohar Parrikar today in Goa. But I was asked, Bikaner House को भाई आप चालू करिए, कुछ होना चाहिए वहाँ पर. क्या होना चाहिए भाई? We did one big event every month in Bikaner House and here. It's all for the experience. So I'm not trying to say कि हमने किया. I'm not taking the credit. I'm saying, so all the ambassadors, like you can see the Italian ambassadors, the Spanish ambassador, Magdalena. Now this is Vanderloop, a vertical dance company. 20 dancers were supposed to dance, and I called them to LIC building in Connaught Place. I said, dance here. Dealing with SPG has been, we are still dealing with SPG. Now these are vertical dance. It's a great group from San Francisco in California. And 20 dancers were hanging from the 16th floor of LIC building in Jeevandeep building in Connaught Place. It was an amazing, amazing show, but very difficult to execute. My people in Delhi, kudos to Seher team. Look at this. We did one show in the afternoon, one show in evening, and we had the top people, but where were my top people? Not the SPG controlled. My top people were in Rajiv Chowk, here. Everybody was shocked that 16th floor, say, men and women were hanging. This is the US Ambassador, Tim Roma. This is Jayantika. This is Jaipur in Rajasthan. This is Albert Hall. Celebrating 1 year of Vasundhara Raje's first reign as Chief Minister in 2014. The music started at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and it went on till 10 o'clock. We had a dose of just about everything. Why? Because I had only one day, one Saturday. Lighting, experience, closing of the roads, creating stage. But for me and my team, what you can do to the audience is impeccable carpeting, impeccable sets. Look at this. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people because it was on till Srinivas Bagh, but to me, the color of the lamps was as important as the color of the seating. I mean, very honestly, creating my sets is the most passionate thing that I do, not selecting artists. Because Shankar Mahadevan, I'm just, one of them. Sets, unique. Obama coming to India in 2010. This is 2015 photograph, so don't. 2010, we did the cultural part of the banquet. This is 2015 photographs, 2010 photographs, we don't have that much. But the entire experience of the United States President to India was my team's responsibility. How in 128 minutes we are going to look after the head of the MasterCard, Banga, who was my junior in college, or the top business magnates from the United States of America and the politicians. We did Bonjour India in 2017 as the producers for India. Some of the most difficult events were done by us in 22 cities for the government of France. Again, wheelchairs, my friends, to me, it's the ordinary person who's more important than the VIPs. This is 2023, when the Prime Minister was going to Paris. The Indian ambassador, Javed Ashraf, very creative, very brilliant guy, deeply interested in culture. He said, Sanjeev, let's create a buzz for the PM's visit. That's Javed's. We took 20 artisans curated by my daughter, who's an expert on crafts and weaves. And we created Namaste France in the center of Paris. Of course, in Paris and London, outdoor events are a shoo-shoo, only because kabhi bhi barish ho sakti hai, kabhi bhi garmi ho sakti hai, kabhi bhi kuch ho sakta hai. 2016, we started Udaipur World Music Festival. Again, I was asked by the government of Rajasthan, how can we bring Udaipur and make it into a destination? 50,000 people come, 3 days of music immersion. Immerse yourself in music. From morning, there's a meditative stage. In the afternoon, this is Fateh Sagar Pal, romantic stage. This is the romantic stage. This is the morning stage. Workshops are held in some of the schools of Rajasthan. We touch the children. That's something of my passion. This is at the railway station, at the Udaipur railway station, airport, railway station. This is the evening stage. Again, you can see our signature design. Here, Rajasthan, we wanted to have the Gumbad. This is a cricket stadium in the center of Udaipur. This is now, last month. ASEAN, we are celebrating 10 years of Act East policy with the Ministry of External Affairs and ASEAN Secretariat. Shan, I was talking about. Look at our signature sets. Again, that's why is my festival different to yours, and why should people come to my festival? I keep asking my team, why should they come to your festival? Why not to the person sitting next door? He has an event. That day, Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium was hosting a big event, but we were packed with 20,000 people. And don't just look at the people from here, look at the people from, there are screens everywhere. We are trying to give an experience. All I'm saying is, we are all here to earn money from events, but whether you, as I keep saying, my profession is my passion and my passion is my profession. So unless it comes from here, your events will be superficial, if I may say so. Even if I did one event, wedding, that was Saif and Karina's wedding. I helped Sharmila, she's a personal friend. And when she came to my daughter's wedding, she said, please do Saif's wedding. I said, I'm not into wedding industry. I have nothing against people who do weddings. It's a great way to really do events. But I realized in Saif's reception that I was doing, that the team of the execution team, even the senior people are, bhai usko utha ke yahan se rakh do yaar, isko hata le jao yahan se, le jao. And I didn't want my senior team to be treated, and I said I don't want to enter this space. Now, if there are people who are actually are able to evade this, subvert this, I'm happy. But to me, my team comes first more than anything. I stay away, I make cultural festivals and experiences for audience, for artists, and for, of course, my sponsors and the ministry. Thank you. I hope I'm able to do justice to some of you.